Hey guys, we're back at it. I just wanted to go over a couple of really quick things here since I've been assembling this engine. So there's a couple of differences here on these LZ motors versus the LX9 engine, and mainly the big one that I noticed. Well, as you can see, I'm using the factory Fiero water pump and 88 style timing cover. On the factory, maybe 2.8 or 3.1. I don't really remember what bolt sizes were used, but on the LZ engine, every single bolt that I had to use here is an M10 by 150. So even on the factory timing cover, the LZ engines all use M10 by 150 bolts. So on the LX, I actually had to enlarge, I believe I had to enlarge this hole here and this hole here in the timing cover in order to use two larger bolts to attach the water pump, because the bolts in the block are actually a different size than the LZ. Another thing that I didn't notice until I actually went to mount up the front mount here just to verify fitment was that on the LZ engines there are two different boss sizes here. So this is still the factory 88 style Fiero bolt that I'm using for the front engine mount. So this one here I believe is an M12, it might be a 150, I'm not quite sure. But the one on the other side here, this is no longer the same size as this one, like on a factory 88 Fiero engine, the 2.8 blocks before it, and not to mention the LX block was the same size. So this one I believe is an M12 by 150. This one here is an M10 by 150. So what I had to do is I just had to run down to my local Ace Hardware, and I just picked up a bolt that matched the length of this one here, and just had to get a different size. So here is the 88 style front engine mount. I had to do a lot of grinding on the LX for this mount for the LX, and I had to reverse a couple of the bolt holes here. So this is welded from Rodney. This is a Rodney Dickman front mount, but I had to cut the welds off this and then reverse it so the stud goes through on this side, and then I had to cut the stud out on this side and flip it over so that it would actually clear the oil pan, because you can see that the nut and the stud coming up sits way higher. It sits way higher here to help clear the oil pan, so I had to make that small modification. I had to do some trimming. There's a whole bunch of metal here. I had to trim that all out on the LX. It's going to stay the same for the LZ here. And on the LZ, I had to do a little bit of grinding up here just to smooth this out so that I can get this mount situated correctly on the engine. Then of course, once you have the proper bolts, you can get the 88 style mount on there. Now if you're using an 80, if this is going in a pre-88, you might be able to just use the factory 86 style mount, which kind of gets cut off right around here. So this whole backside over here is not there, but you might not be able to, because you can notice here that there's only one mounting boss on the LZ style block versus the older style blocks. It would have a second mounting boss up here for this upper part here. So only having one attachment point on an earlier style engine, you might have to actually custom make your own engine mount, or try to adopt a factory LZ style lower mount bracket, like this bracket here that you can buy from GM. I don't know the part number, you guys can look it up, or if I find it later I'll put it in the description. But you can maybe try to adapt that front lower bracket that actually bolts to this oil pan on a couple of bosses here, and it might actually, you know, a couple of these bolt holes for this here might actually line up, or you just drill new ones. Okay guys, so as you can see, it's kind of coming back together here. Assembly has begun, oil pans on it, front mounts on it, front timing cover. Previous video I had the heads back. I still have to test fit the heads, get my push rod length, and when I do all that, I'll show you guys all that stuff. So just want to do a quick update video. That's it guys, thank you.